Hi guys, Gina here. So welcome back to Chasing Sunsets, and today I'm going to talk about a new cookbook that we've been trying. Now it's not new as it's been out for a little bit in publishing world, but I bought it for my mom for Christmas along with the book that started it. This is the China Study Cookbook, and there was a book that was written back in the 80s by Dr. Colin Campbell, and he wrote the China Study, and it was basically a book about how different sections in China ate certain ways and how their health was affected by what they ate. And if you haven't read it or haven't ever heard about it, you might want to just at least get the summary on it, because it has got some really good information in there. But today I'm going to talk about the China Study Cookbook that was actually written by his daughter, Leanne Campbell. Okay, and she is a PhD, by the way. So as you can see, again, my mom has been enjoying this. My mom is 83, and she didn't start eating a whole food plant-based diet until about a year and a half ago, even though I had been whole food plant-based for quite some years. And so she is still kind of learning the language of it, and for some that can be very disturbing, and it's a learning curve because you're thinking, what's nooch again? What's Bragg's? What's this? What's that? It's okay. You don't have to know all that to start with, because really when you're dealing with a whole food plant-based diet, you're dealing with fruits, vegetables, beans, and grains. And if you go there and start there, you're good. So, but sometimes that can get a little bland if you're just, steaming it and you're thinking, okay, I don't have any salt, I don't have any oil, I don't have any of this stuff. Okay, yeah, you want some seasonings in there, and seasonings are fine. So one of the things I love about this cookbook is actually at the beginning, Leanne talked about, one of the things she says is that what people decide to eat is a very personal matter. So she understands that. But she also has an area in here where she talks about raising her children from birth on a whole food plant-based diet. And she has an area in here that's going about transitioning to a whole food plant-based diet, which is on page 28. And then she has an area that talks about substitutions to create a healthy plant-based diet. And I didn't even know this one, because if I'm substituting oil in a baked good like banana bread or something of that nature, I typically have always heard to use applesauce. And it works most of the time, especially in quick bread recipes. Now, I don't know about like traditional bread, because I don't typically make traditional bread, but she gives an idea of prune paste. Never tried it, but she says it doesn't alter the flavor. So I'm definitely going to make some prune paste. I know that sounds weird, but I'm definitely going to make some prune paste and keep it and try it in the next regular recipe I have that I want to convert over to a whole food plant-based, no oil, no salt, no sugar product. So we have tried several of these recipes in here, and we really have enjoyed it. Now, again, with a whole food plant-based diet, you don't have to follow the recipe exactly. So if it calls for arugula and you don't like arugula, use romaine, use iceberg, use butter lettuce or Boston lettuce. I grew up calling it butter lettuce, but I think it's actually called Boston lettuce. I don't know where we got butter lettuce, but anyway, it's a real tender lettuce. I love that stuff, especially like in a spring roll. It's really, really good because it's just so tender and light, and it's great for summer. But I get off track easily, as you can see. But she's got recipes in here for like pumpkin pancakes, and we have tried several of these. Like, we've had the fresh tomato and avocado pasta salad. We have tried her cornbread. That stuff was really good. My mom changed it up a little bit. I think she added a different vegetable in there or something to kind of just give it a different flavor. Sometimes we just don't have what it calls for, so we try to get something that's similar to it. A lot of times if it calls for like a black bean, you can use a pinto bean, or you can use a kidney bean, or something of that nature. Yeah, it's going to alter the flavor, and maybe it's not the intentional flavor that the author suggested. But if you don't like black beans, why would you make them in a recipe? So if you like pinto beans and you don't like black beans, substitute. It's okay. So that's the beauty of whole food plant-based diets. So the other thing I love about it is that you don't have to be perfect when you're cooking. I am not one to just measure out everything. I'm like, okay, it called for onion powder, dash, dash, called for garlic powder, dash, dash. And I'm not sitting here going, okay, taking the knife, making sure it's straight, putting it on there. I'm not that person. I know there are some people out there that are, and that's fine. It's just that's not me. And my mom is more that person when it comes to cooking. But this is a really great cookbook. And again, it's called the China Study Cookbook. And see if you can get the whole page in there. And I'm going to link to it on Amazon. It will be an affiliate link, so if you want to link to it. But this is where we got it, because I gave it to her for Christmas. And she's just now really getting into it, I guess for the last month, maybe 6 weeks. But they divide it up. There's all kinds of different sides, like there's baked beans, different cauliflower sides, Caribbean Moro. I think that's the one that we just did that was so good. It's one of my favorites, yes. So Caribbean Moro, which is on $2.56, okay? And this is the picture of it. It's basically a black bean and rice recipe, but it's got to be one of my favorite ways to eat rice, because I'm not really a big rice fan. I know, sounds weird, but rice is just not my thing. So, you know, this time we changed out the pepper and we did a poblano, and we, you know, just kind of changed it out a little bit to things that are actually more in what we want to eat. So, and plus we had a poblano and we didn't have the red pepper, so. But if you're trying to eat more healthy food and you're wanting to transition to a whole food plant-based diet, these cookbooks like this are really a great start, because they give you can follow it exactly, especially if you're first learning, because you don't understand all the terminology and you're thinking, oh, I can't do this. Yes, you can. It is actually quite easy. And there are so many health benefits for eating a whole food plant-based diet. And again, we follow the whole food plant-based diet that is no oil, no salt, no sugar added. Now, salt does creep in on certain things, because we do buy some of our beans I can't get that are no salt added, or corn, but we rinse them. And all I do is I open the can, pour it in a colander, rinse them in the sink, drain them out, and then put them in the pot or, you know, bowl or whatever we're using. So that will remove most of the sodium. For our sodium flavor, we typically use Bragg's and tamari or miso. Those are our three favorites. Found the Fiesta cornbread, and it is listed on page 44. And so we didn't have the tarragon that it called for, so we used basil, because in one of her areas in the front she talked about some substitution. It was really good. Probably one of the best cornbreads, because I'm not really a cornbread eater either. But there's all kinds of different quick breads in here, you know, and there's different, you know, desserts that you can make, and she makes them with using fruits and you know, dates and things of that nature. So it's one way to really add more fruits and vegetables and beans and grains to your diet. And again, there are so many health benefits for this. I know that once my mom went plant-based, whole food plant-based with no oil, she started actually feeling better. Now, my mom is 83 years old, and she doesn't have, she has a little bit of an underlying health problem, but she is not where she's on any kind of prescribed medicine. But a few years ago, I guess it was about 6 or 7, she actually coughed because she had pneumonia and popped her lung. So she ended up having to have a lung surgery because the lung did not reinflate on herself. So they had to take a little portion of her lung out. And when they did that, it made it to where she was more, had a light emphysema, so she does get winded easily, and she's having to rebuild that. When you're missing any part of your lung, that's kind of what happens, right? That's why they were made a certain size and a certain shape and everything else. So they're supposed to be the way they came in us, but sometimes life changes us. So she will get winded sometimes, but she's not required to be on oxygen, or she's not required to be on anything like that. But she has found that eating this way just gives her a little bit more energy, and she feels like she has a little bit more stamina, and where she's sleeping better at night, and she is just able to keep up with my toddler during the day. And so it's funny how it's slight changes like that you can really feel in your body. And I get told all the time that I don't look like I'm 47. And I am. And some days I feel more than 47. And other days I get a little bit more rest the night before, and I actually don't feel 47 either. But it is because I attribute that to how I eat. because my body is getting nutrition just constantly. I'm not giving it junk food, because there is the vegan junk food, and a lot of people think that, oh, I used to eat this hamburger, I need to replace it with a vegan hamburger. And you don't. I mean, you really don't. Now, you can make a whole food plant-based burger, and we have. Just, it's not even necessary anymore. And there's a whole bunch of different videos out there. You can find people who are creating their own recipes. I don't have time to create my own recipes, so my idea of creating my own recipe is like, okay, this is what's left in the refrigerator, this is what's left in the refrigerator, and this is what's left in the refrigerator, and we're going to make it work. And so it's not necessary, and sometimes it's something that we repeat, and sometimes it's not. But the beauty of this is that what I'm trying to say is you don't have to be perfect with it. And by reducing your added oils, I mean, we still eat avocados, we still eat nuts, we still have peanut butter. My toddler's addicted to peanut butter, and I put peanut butter in my oatmeal every morning. We still have all this, you know, these healthy fats that are part of the whole food. But I mean, on this diet alone, just in the last year, since we got serious about it again, I lost like over 30 pounds just in 1 year, and I wasn't trying to. I mean, I was trying to, but I wasn't like exercising. I wasn't doing anything, but my diet changed. That was it. Because with my schedule, as you know, I don't have a whole lot of extra time. So I didn't increase my exercise. I didn't increase anything else. All I did was clean up my diet, because I was eating way too many vegan substitutes that are processed and full of oils and full of other chemicals, and they're just not as healthy. And I was tired, and I was lethargic, and I was dragging my feet, and it was making it more and more difficult to just do the day-to-day stuff. And I was over 30 pounds heavier. So it's been nice having that weight just come off very slowly, very consistently, and I'm just like going, yes, I can fit into this clothes again. And that's always a good feeling. But you know, and you can Google it on YouTube, and you'll find, you know, probably hundreds of people who say that on a whole food plant-based, no oil added diet, where they've lost 80 pounds in a year, 60 pounds in a year. I wasn't doing anything extra except for the food, and I just lost 30 pounds over the last, well, 10 months, 9 months. So it's not been quite a year, because a year will be May for us when we got serious about this again. Because we had some ups and downs. We'd get serious, and it would last about 3 weeks, and then we'd fall back into the prepared foods again, and we'd get serious, and we'd fall back. And so finally, last May, when COVID really hit, and I was able to remote work from home, I was able to focus and help my mom out more by saying, okay, let's start a pot of beans in the morning, because I was right there. I didn't have to think about, okay, I need to do this at 4:30 in the morning when I'm leaving for work to get the beans on so that mom would be ready for something to eat for lunch or whatever. So it was easier while I was able to remote to kind of help ease my mom into the language. And so now, you know, I can be like, yeah, we need to cook these beans, and we need to do this, and she's like, and she just takes the recipes now, and I've been letting her play with it and just let her meal plan. I'm like, I don't care what you make, as long as it's whole food plant-based, no oil added, I will eat it. And if I don't like it, well, okay, we may not like it. But most of everything we've really enjoyed when we make this. And like, if we see an ingredient that we know we just don't like, we substitute it. We typically use shallots instead of onions, just because I don't like the strong flavor of onions. So anytime that a recipe calls for an onion, we just use a shallot. So there's different things like that we just typically will substitute anyway. And that's what makes this diet or this lifestyle so easy in the long run. And just, you know, and there's so many options. Like here's one for kale salad with sweet potatoes, and it's on page 112. Now, we haven't tried that. I love kale. I personally do like kale, but somebody might not like kale, so substitute it out with a different green. You know, it's a salad. You're not cooking the green, so use romaine or use iceberg lettuce. I know there are some people that say, well, iceberg doesn't have any nutrition. It does. It's okay. It's okay to eat iceberg lettuce. You'll develop taste for different things as you clear out your taste buds and as your body starts wanting the nutrition. So it does take a while to get the reduced salt flavor into your brain and your taste buds, because your brain is like, this is not right. And even when I make French fries, because I'm cutting up the potatoes, and maybe I'll do a video on how I make my French fries, but I'll spritz them with Bragg's. I mean, I do. I spritz them with Bragg's, and because I don't like French fries without a little bit of sodium in them. And you know, but they're baked and they're seasoned up and they're great, and I love them, and that's how we eat them, and it works great for us. So, you know, it takes some time, but if you're going to try the whole food plant-based diet, you can reduce your sodium slowly, and eventually you'll be where you like it with no sodium in there or very little sodium. But what I don't recommend is that you try to eat something without any sodium and then eat something high salt, and then eat something without any sodium and then eat something high salt, because you're going to be doing this and your body's going to be like, I can't stand this, and you're not going to find the flavor in the foods, because there are a lot of foods that once you quit eating the actual added salt and the added oils, you will actually, these foods have flavor that you didn't even know they had. So that's my advice. I totally recommend this cookbook. Like I said, my mom has been having a lot of fun using it, and I have been having a lot of fun eating it. So, and there's all kinds of, I mean, there's even like favorite chili with pasta, pecan ball subs. So I guess they're like meatballs, but they're made with pecans. And so that's on page 181. She's got it flagged. We haven't tried that yet. So we would probably not eat it as a sandwich, because we don't typically eat many sandwiches, but we would probably put it on like a salad, or, you know, maybe some grains like a rice or a rice pasta, because I do eat gluten-free pasta just because I have a wheat allergy, not because of wheat's bad. I just can't eat wheat. It makes my ears ring and makes water go in my head, and it's just not good. So, but that's just me. But, you know, try this out. Add some extra things to your plate. You know, don't take my word for it, because like what Leanne says here, eating and what you choose to eat is a very personal choice. And so you need to make that choice for you. But I totally recommend this book. It's really great. It's got some really great, at least starters for you, and then you can just kind of go from there. So, okay. Thank you for coming by Chasing Sunsets today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Otherwise, share the video. Tell your friends about it. Maybe they need to start figuring out how to regain their health and how to regain their vitality. And I'm probably going to be doing a lot more food items as well, because I'm getting asked more and more about that. And so there'll be a little bit of all of it, but I wanted to just go ahead and talk about this book today. And so I thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you have an amazing day.